Imagine having the power to change your life just by using your mind. It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, right? But what if I told you that this power is real, and it's been taught by a spiritual teacher named Neville Goddard for decades? Neville's teachings aren't just some far-out ideas. They're practical tools that can help you create the life you've always dreamed of. His methods show us how to use our imagination to shape our reality, and they've helped countless people transform their lives in amazing ways. Think about it for a moment. What if you could use your thoughts to attract success, love, or anything else you desire? What if the key to getting what you want was already inside you, just waiting to be unlocked? That's exactly what Neville Goddard's teachings are all about. They offer a roadmap to tapping into the incredible power of your mind and using it to manifest your dreams. But here's the thing. This isn't about waving a magic wand and getting everything you want without effort. It's about understanding how your mind works and learning to use it in a way that aligns with the natural laws of the universe. It's about realizing that you're not just a passive observer of your life, but an active creator of your reality. Now you might be thinking, this sounds interesting, but does it really matter if I learn about this stuff? Well, let me ask you this. Are you completely happy with every aspect of your life right now? If you're like most people, there's probably at least one area where you wish things were different. Maybe you're stuck in a job you don't love, or you're struggling to find the right relationship. Perhaps you're dealing with health issues or financial stress. Here's the hard truth. If you don't understand and apply these principles, you might be missing out on creating the life you truly want. It's like having a supercomputer but only using it to play simple games. You have this amazing tool, your mind, but if you don't know how to use it properly, you're not getting the full benefit. But don't worry, because that's exactly what we're going to explore in this video. We're going to dive into Neville Goddard's teachings and learn how to harness the power of our minds to create positive changes in our lives. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This sounds like it's going to be hard work. And you're right, it does take some effort. But it's not about struggling or forcing things to happen. It's about learning to take control of your thoughts and use your imagination in a powerful way. It's about changing the way you see yourself and the world around you. Think about it this way. Every day, you're already using your thoughts and imagination, whether you realize it or not. Your current life is, in many ways, a result of your past thoughts and beliefs. So why not learn how to use this power consciously and deliberately to create the life you want? The stakes are high. If you ignore these teachings, you might continue to feel stuck, frustrated, or unfulfilled. You might keep wondering why things never seem to work out the way you want them to. But if you embrace these ideas and put them into practice, you could open up a whole new world of possibilities. Remember, this isn't about magical thinking or denying reality. It's about understanding the deeper truths of how our minds interact with the world around us. It's about tapping into a power that's already within you, just waiting to be unleashed. So are you ready to take control of your life in a way you never thought possible? Are you ready to unlock the secrets of reality and become a master of manifestation? If so, then let's dive in and explore the fascinating teachings of Neville Goddard. Before we dive into the specifics of Neville Goddard's teachings, let's take a moment to get to know the man himself. Who was Neville Goddard, and why should we pay attention to what he had to say? Neville Goddard was born in 1905 in Barbados in the British West Indies. He came from a large family and grew up in a relatively comfortable environment. But like many of us, he felt a calling for something more. In his early 20s, he moved to the United States to study theater. It was during this time that he began to explore various spiritual and metaphysical teachings. Now, you might be wondering, what makes Neville Goddard different from other spiritual teachers? Well, what set Neville apart was his unique blend of practical techniques and deep spiritual insights. He wasn't just a theorist, he was someone who put these ideas into practice in his own life and saw remarkable results. Neville spent years studying various spiritual traditions, including Christianity, Buddhism, and Hinduism. But he didn't just accept these teachings at face value. He dug deep, looking for the universal truths that connected all these different beliefs. What he discovered was a set of principles that he believed could help anyone tap into the power of their mind to create the life they desired. From the 1930s until his death in 1972, Neville traveled across the United States, giving lectures and writing books about his discoveries. He became known for his clear, straightforward way of explaining complex spiritual concepts. He didn't use fancy jargon or complicated rituals. Instead, he taught simple techniques that anyone could use to change their life. One of the things that made Neville's teaching so powerful was that he spoke from personal experience. He often shared stories of how he had used these principles to overcome challenges in his own life. For example, he talked about how he used his imagination to secure a discharge from the army during World War II when it seemed almost impossible. He also shared how he manifested trips, relationships, and even specific objects using the power of his mind. But why do Neville's teachings matter today, decades after his death? Well, in many ways, they're more relevant now than ever before. We live in a world that can often feel chaotic and out of control. Many people feel stressed, anxious, and disconnected. Neville's teachings offer a way to regain a sense of control over our lives. They show us that we're not helpless victims of circumstance, but powerful creators of our own reality. Moreover, modern science is starting to catch up with many of the ideas Neville talked about. Quantum physics, for example, has shown us that the observer, that's us, can influence the behavior of particles at a subatomic level. This lines up with Neville's teachings about how our consciousness can shape our reality. Neville's main ideas centered around a few key concepts. First, he believed that our imagination is the creative power of the universe. He taught that what we imagine and feel as real will eventually become our reality. This might sound far-fetched at first, but stick with me. We'll explore how this works in practice later in the video. Another core idea in Neville's teachings is what he called the law of assumption. This is the principle that if we assume something is true and live as if it's already a reality, it will eventually manifest in our physical world. It's like the old saying, fake it till you make it, but taken to a much deeper level. Neville also emphasized the importance of feeling. He believed that it wasn't enough to just visualize what we want. We need to feel the emotions we would experience if our desire was already fulfilled. This is why one of his most famous books is titled Feeling is the Secret. Now, I know some of this might sound a bit abstract or even unbelievable. You might be thinking, can I really change my life just by imagining things differently? And that's a fair question. But remember, Neville wasn't asking people to believe blindly. He encouraged his students to test these principles for themselves. He often said, don't take my word for it, try it, and prove it in your own experience. As we go through this video, I encourage you to keep an open mind. We're going to break down these concepts and explore how you can apply them in your own life. You don't have to accept everything at face value. In fact, Neville would probably encourage you to be skeptical. But I invite you to consider these ideas and maybe even try them out for yourself. In the next sections, we're going to dive deeper into some of Neville's key teachings. We'll explore how to use your imagination effectively, how to apply the law of assumption, and how to harness the power of your feelings to manifest your desires. We'll also look at some practical techniques you can start using right away to begin shaping your reality. Remember, the goal here isn't to escape from reality or deny the challenges we face in life. Instead, it's about understanding the deeper nature of reality and learning how to work with it more effectively. It's about realizing that you have more power than you might think to create the life you want. So, are you ready to unlock the secrets of reality and master the art of manifestation? Let's continue our journey into the fascinating world of Neville Goddard's teachings. Get ready to see your life and your potential in a whole new light. The power of imagination, your creative force. Let's dive into one of the most fundamental aspects of Neville Goddard's teachings, the power of imagination. Now, when we talk about imagination, you might think of daydreaming or fantasizing, but for Neville, imagination was much more than that. He saw it as the very essence of reality, the creative power of the universe itself. Neville believed that our imagination is not just a fun little feature of our minds, but a powerful tool for shaping our reality. He often said, "Imagination creates reality." This might sound like a bold claim, but think about it for a moment. Everything in our human-made world, from the chair you're sitting on to the device you're using to watch this video, started as an idea in someone's imagination before it became real. But Neville took this concept even further. He taught that our imagination doesn't just create physical objects, but our entire experience of life. The way we see ourselves, the way we interpret events, the opportunities we notice or overlook, all of these are shaped by our imagination. Here's a simple example to help you understand this. Let's say you're going to a party where you don't know many people. If you imagine yourself as shy and awkward, you're likely to feel nervous and maybe even have some uncomfortable interactions. But if you imagine yourself as confident and friendly, you're more likely to feel at ease and make new connections. Same party, different experience, all because of how you used your imagination. Now you might be wondering, how is this different from positive thinking? Well, while positive thinking is about trying to look on the bright side of things, Neville's approach goes deeper. It's not just about thinking positive thoughts, but about using your imagination to create a vivid, detailed experience of what you want, and then believing in it so completely that it feels real to you. This is where many people get stuck. They can picture what they want, but it feels like a fantasy, not reality. Neville taught that the key is to make your imagined scene feel as real and natural as possible. He called this living in the end, experiencing your desire as if it's already happened. Let's try a simple exercise to illustrate this. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine biting into a juicy lemon. Really see it in your mind's eye, the bright yellow color, the texture of the peel. Imagine cutting it open and seeing the juice on the knife. Now bring it up to your mouth and take a big bite. Can you taste the sour flavor? Did your mouth start to water? If you really engaged with this exercise, you probably had a physical reaction, even though there was no actual lemon. This is the power of imagination that Neville talked about. Your body responded as if the lemon was real because your imagination made it feel real. Now, imagine applying this same principle to your goals and desires. Instead of just thinking about what you want, you create a vivid sensory experience of already having it. You're not hoping or wishing, you're experiencing it as a reality in your mind. This might take some practice, especially if you're not used to using your imagination in this way. But like any skill, it gets easier with time. The key is to make it feel as natural and real as possible. Don't strain or force it. Let it flow and feel easy, just like remembering something that's already happened. Now that we've explored the power of imagination, let's move on to another crucial aspect of Neville Goddard's teachings, the role of feelings in manifestation. This concept is so important that Neville dedicated an entire book to it, titled "Feeling is the Secret." So what did Neville mean when he said feeling is the secret? He wasn't talking about just any feelings, but specifically the feeling of your desire being fulfilled. In other words, it's not enough to just visualize what you want. You need to feel the emotions you would experience if your desire was already a reality. Think about it this way. When you remember a happy event from your past, you don't just see images in your mind. You also re-experience the emotions associated with that event. You might feel joy, excitement, or contentment. These feelings are what make the memory feel real and alive to you. Neville taught that we need to apply this same principle to our desires for the future. It's not just about picturing what you want, but about feeling the emotions you would feel if you already had it. This emotional component is what gives power to your imagination and helps to bring your desires into reality. Let's break this down with an example. Say you want to manifest a new job that you love. It's great to visualize yourself in the new office or doing tasks related to the job. But to really harness the power of feeling, you need to tap into the emotions you'd experience in that new job. Would you feel proud, excited, fulfilled, confident? Try to really feel those emotions as if you're experiencing them right now. Now you might be thinking, but how can I feel something that hasn't happened yet? This is where many people struggle with manifestation techniques. The key is to understand that your feelings don't have to depend on external circumstances. You can choose to generate these feelings right now, simply by using your imagination. This might take some practice, especially if you're used to letting your feelings be dictated by your current circumstances. But remember, this is a skill you can develop. Start small. Maybe spend just a few minutes each day imagining a scene that represents your desire being fulfilled, and really allow yourself to feel the positive emotions associated with it. One common mistake people make when trying to apply this principle is focusing on the feeling of wanting or needing something, but that actually reinforces the lack of what you desire. Instead, Neville taught to focus on the feeling of already having what you want. It's a subtle but crucial difference. For example, if you're trying to manifest financial abundance, don't focus on the feeling of needing more money. Instead, tap into the feeling of financial security, of being generous, of having more than enough. What would that feel like? Allow yourself to really experience those emotions. It's important to note that this doesn't mean ignoring or denying your current reality. Neville wasn't advocating for living in a fantasy world. Rather, he was teaching a way to shift your inner state, which he believed would eventually be reflected in your outer world. This principle of feeling is the secret ties in closely with what modern psychology calls embodied cognition, the idea that our bodily states can influence our thoughts and feelings, and vice versa. By generating the feelings associated with your desire, you're not just changing your thoughts, but your entire bodily state. Remember, the goal isn't to force these feelings or to fake them. It's about gently and persistently cultivating them, allowing them to feel natural and real to you. With practice, you may find that you can access these positive feelings more easily, even when your external circumstances haven't yet changed. Now that we've explored the power of imagination and the importance of feeling, let's dive into one of Neville Goddard's most powerful techniques: living from the end. This concept ties together everything we've discussed so far and shows us how to put it into practice in our daily lives. So, what exactly does living from the end mean? Simply put, it's about living your life as if your desire has already been fulfilled. It's not just about visualizing or feeling for a few minutes a day. It's about carrying that state of fulfillment with you throughout your day-to-day life. Neville often used the analogy of an actor preparing for a role. When an actor takes on a new part, they don't just memorize their lines. They try to embody the character fully, adopting their mannerisms, their way of thinking, their emotional state. In the same way, Neville taught that we should act as if our desire is already our reality. Let's break this down with an example. Say your desire is to become a successful entrepreneur. Living from the end would mean adopting the mindset, behaviors, and feelings of someone who is already a successful entrepreneur. How would you carry yourself? How would you make decisions? How would you interact with others? What kind of thoughts would you have throughout the day? Now, this doesn't mean quitting your job and recklessly acting as if you're already wealthy. Remember, Neville's teachings were about internal change leading to external results. It's about shifting your inner state first, trusting that the outer world will eventually align with this new state. One powerful way to practice living from the end is through what Neville called mental diets. This involves consciously choosing thoughts and internal conversations that align with your desire being fulfilled. If a thought comes up that contradicts your desired reality, you gently but firmly replace it with one that supports your new state. For instance, if you're manifesting improved health and you catch yourself thinking, "I always get sick in the winter," you might replace that thought with, "My body is strong and resilient in all seasons." It's not about denying reality, but about choosing which aspects of reality you give your attention and energy to. Another aspect of living from the end is making decisions from the perspective of your desire being fulfilled. Ask yourself, what would I do if this desire was already my reality? This can guide your actions in powerful ways, often leading you to opportunities you might have otherwise missed. Now you might be thinking, this sounds like self-deception. Isn't it better to be realistic? But Neville would argue that what we typically call being realistic is often just accepting limitations based on past experiences or societal expectations. Living from the end is about expanding your sense of what's possible and aligning yourself with a new reality. It's important to note that living from the end doesn't mean ignoring practical steps or necessary actions. If your desire requires certain skills or knowledge, for example, you would still need to acquire those. The difference is in how you approach these steps, not from a place of lack or struggle, but from a place of alignment with your desired end. One common challenge people face when trying to live from the end is dealing with contradictory evidence in their current reality. Neville taught that this is where faith comes in. Not blind faith, but faith based on an understanding of the creative power of consciousness. He encouraged his students to persist in their new state, even when external circumstances hadn't yet caught up. To make this principle more concrete, let's look at a step-by-step process for living from the end. Clearly define your desire. What exactly do you want to manifest? Create a vivid scene that implies your desire is fulfilled. Make it short, clear, and easy to repeat. Before sleep and upon waking, immerse yourself in this scene. Feel it as real. Throughout your day, whenever you catch yourself thinking or acting in ways that contradict your desire, gently shift back to your new state. Make decisions and take actions from the perspective of already having what you desire. Persist in this new state, regardless of external circumstances. Remember, living from the end is not about pretending or fooling yourself. It's about aligning your inner world with your desires, trusting in the creative power of your consciousness. It may feel strange at first, but with practice, it can become a natural and powerful way of being. As you apply this principle, you may start to notice subtle shifts in your perception and experiences. Opportunities might arise that align with your desire. You might find yourself naturally taking actions that move you closer to your goal. This is the power of living from the end in action. Now let's explore one of Neville Goddard's most intriguing and powerful techniques, the revision technique. This method might sound a bit strange at first, but it's based on a profound understanding of how our minds shape our reality. So, what exactly is the revision technique? Simply put, it's a way of mentally rewriting past events to align them with your desired reality. Now you might be thinking, wait a minute, are you saying we can change the past? Not in a literal time travel sense, but Neville taught that we can change our memory and interpretation of past events, which can have a powerful effect on our present and future. Here's how it works. At the end of each day, you mentally review the events of the day. If anything happened that you didn't like or that doesn't align with your desired reality, you mentally revise it. You imagine it happening in a way that you would have preferred. For example, let's say you had an argument with a coworker. In your revision, you might imagine the conversation going smoothly, with both of you understanding each other and coming to a positive resolution. You make this new version as vivid and real in your mind as possible, feeling the emotions of harmony and mutual respect. Now, why would we do this? Neville believed that our past experiences shape our expectations and beliefs about the future. By revising the past, we're changing the foundation upon which we're building our future. We're literally rewriting our personal narrative. But the revision technique isn't just about changing bad memories into good ones, it's also about reinforcing and amplifying positive experiences. If something good happened during your day, you can revise it to make it even better in your imagination. One of the beauties of this technique is its simplicity. You don't need any special equipment or skills. You can do it anywhere, anytime. Many people find it helpful to practice revision just before falling asleep at night, as this allows the revised scenes to sink deeply into the subconscious mind. Now, you might be wondering, how can imagining a different version of events change anything? Remember, Neville's teachings are based on the idea that our inner world shapes our outer reality. By consistently revising our experiences, we're gradually shifting our beliefs, expectations, and energy. This, in turn, can lead to changes in our external circumstances. Set aside some quiet time, preferably at the end of your day. Review the events of your day. Identify any events that you'd like to change. Mentally revise these events, imagining them happening in a way that pleases you. Make your revised scene as vivid as possible. See it clearly, hear the sounds, feel the emotions. End your revision session by feeling grateful for your new, improved day. It's important to approach this technique with a sense of play and creativity rather than strain or effort. You're not trying to force changes, but rather to open yourself up to new possibilities. Remember, the goal isn't to deny reality or avoid dealing with problems. It's about changing your perception and emotional response to events, which can lead to more positive outcomes in the future. As you practice revision consistently, you may find that your days naturally begin to unfold in more positive ways. As powerful as Neville Goddard's techniques are, many people struggle with doubts and fears when trying to apply them. This is completely normal and understandable. After all, These teachings challenge many of our conventional beliefs about how reality works. In this section, we'll explore how to overcome these obstacles and build the kind of faith that can move mountains. First, let's address one of the most common doubts. Is this really possible? Many people struggle to believe that they can actually shape their reality through imagination and feeling. Neville's advice for this was simple: test it for yourself. He often encouraged his students to start with small, relatively unimportant desires. By proving the principle in small ways, you build confidence to apply it to bigger goals. Another common fear is, what if it doesn't work? This fear of disappointment can hold many people back from fully engaging with these techniques. Neville taught that this fear itself can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you're constantly worried about failure, you're inadvertently living from the state of failure rather than the state of your desire fulfilled. To counter this, Neville advised cultivating an attitude of faith and expectancy. This doesn't mean blind faith or naive optimism. It's more about developing a deep trust in the creative power of your consciousness. One way to build this faith is to keep a record of your successes, no matter how small. Each time you successfully manifest something, it becomes evidence that reinforces your faith. Many people also struggle with feelings of unworthiness. They might think, who am I to have all these wonderful things? Neville's response to this would be that you are a divine being, capable of creating whatever you desire. He often quoted the biblical phrase, "I and my Father are one," interpreting this to mean that we are one with the creative power of the universe. To overcome feelings of unworthiness, Neville recommended focusing on the feeling of the wish fulfilled, rather than on your current self-concept. As you consistently live from the state of your desire fulfilled, your self-concept naturally begins to shift. Another common obstacle is impatience. In our fast-paced world, we often expect instant results, but manifestation doesn't always work on our preferred timeline. Neville taught that there's often a time lag between our inner change and its outer manifestation. He called this the law of gestation, comparing it to the time it takes for a seed to grow into a plant. To deal with impatience, Neville advised his students to trust in the perfect timing of the universe. He taught that once you've planted the seed of your desire through imagination and feeling, you should carry on with your life, confident that your desire is on its way to you at the perfect time. Finally, many people struggle with contradictory thoughts and doubts. They might spend some time imagining their desire, only to have doubts creep in later. Neville's solution for this was the mental diet we discussed earlier. He taught that we should be as careful with our mental food as we are with our physical food, consciously choosing thoughts that support our desires. Start small. Begin with easily achievable goals to build your confidence. Keep a manifestation journal, record your successes to reinforce your faith. Practice self-love and acceptance. Remember that you are worthy of your desires. Be patient. Trust in the perfect timing of the universe. Monitor your thoughts. Consistently choose thoughts that align with your desires. Surround yourself with supportive people. Share your journey with those who encourage and uplift you. Remember, overcoming doubts and fears is a process. Be patient and gentle with yourself as you develop this new way of thinking and being. As we come to the end of our exploration of Neville Goddard's teachings, let's take a moment to reflect on the powerful concepts we've covered. We've journeyed through the realms of imagination, feeling, and conscious creation, uncovering secrets that have the potential to transform your life in profound ways. We started by understanding the power of imagination, not as mere fantasy, but as the very essence of reality itself. We learned that our imagination is the creative force of the universe, capable of shaping our experiences and our world. We then delved into the crucial role of feeling in manifestation. We discovered that it's not enough to simply visualize our desires. We must feel them as real, experiencing the emotions of our wish fulfilled. This emotional component is what gives life and power to our imaginative acts. We explored the concept of living from the end, adopting the mindset, behaviors, and feelings of already having our desire fulfilled. This practice aligns our entire being with our goals, opening up new possibilities and opportunities. We also learned about the revision technique, a powerful method for rewriting our past and shaping our future. By mentally revising events to align with our desired reality, we can change our personal narrative and create a new foundation for our future experiences. Finally, we address the common doubts and fears that can arise when practicing these techniques. We learned strategies for overcoming these obstacles and building unshakable faith in our ability to consciously create our reality. Throughout this journey, we've seen that Neville Goddard's teachings are not about escaping reality or denying our current circumstances. Rather, they're about understanding the deeper nature of reality and our role as conscious creators within it. They're about realizing that we have more power than we might have thought to shape our lives and our world. As you move forward from here, remember that mastering these principles is a journey, not a destination. It takes practice, patience, and persistence. There may be times when you struggle or doubt, and that's okay. Every challenge is an opportunity to deepen your understanding and strengthen your faith. I encourage you to start applying these teachings in your life. Begin with small, achievable goals to build your confidence. Keep a journal of your experiences and successes. Be patient with yourself and trust in the process. And above all, enjoy the journey of discovering your own creative power. Remember, you are not separate from the creative power of the universe. You are that power individualized. As Neville often said, you are God pushed out. Embrace this truth and watch as your life transforms in beautiful and unexpected ways. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of Neville Goddard's guide to manifestation mastery. May your journey be filled with joy, discovery, and the fulfillment of your deepest desires. The power is within you. Now go forth and create the reality of your dreams.